Impacting lives, choose life, sharing love to everyone. Impacting lives, choose life, sharing joy through the gospel of Jesus, gospel of Jesus, gospel of Jesus Christ.
Welcome to Living Life God's Way. Real life, real talk, real hope. Every show. Join us every Thursday at 6:30 p.m. as we discuss topics relating to life, church, family, education, and so much more. Invite a friend. Tag them even. But don't you dare miss the show. Living Life God's Way. Every Thursday at 6:30 p.m.
Good evening to you. Welcome to Living Life God's Way. We're about to begin an exciting and interesting discussion. We want to welcome all of you who are joining us from wherever you are all over the globe. It's good to have you with us this evening. It's good to have my team, these two great ladies with me as usual. As we enter into discussion today. Ladies, please say hello.
Hi. Calling on a special hi.
My special hi.
Hi and good evening. It's so good to be with you. I'm so glad you have allowed us to be in your home. Stay tuned and let's talk, let's share. Remember to drop your comments and we'll respond.
Yes. Oh,
Go ahead.
no, hi.
Go ahead.
Oh dear.
Good evening. Yeah, I want to say proper good evening.
Okay,
Hi.
Right.
So good evening. Yes, as Elder Sheridan and Pastor Brian said, looking forward to a riveting, potentially hot topic
Yeah.
this evening, blended families and exes, I believe.
Mhm.
Do's and
Ex.
don'ts or ex and
Yeah.
ex. So yeah, looking forward to this discussion.
All right, so please share the live stream. Get someone on who has an ex or it's going to be pretty interesting this evening as we have this discussion. We know that stuff like this is important, even as children of God.
Yeah.
It's so important to have these kind of conversations because it's a reality that we face. We don't just sing hallelujah, praise the Lord, and so on. We're also challenges always also comes our way, and we also have family issues to deal with. So hopefully this evening, this discussion will be able to help you to deal with your ex, your blended family, and your ex or your partner's ex. So we hope that something that is shared today will enlighten you and will help you. Please stay with us. We will be right back on Living Life God's Way. All right, so welcome back this evening. We are here looking at notes and stuff like that as we have this discussion this evening on the blended family and the ex. Elder Sheridan, what is
Yes.
ex? What is ex?
Now, X is a preposition. It means without, excluding. It's prefix, X meaning not or without, indicating a former title or status. Example, ex-wife, ex-husband. That's basically what the X means. Without.
I like part of what you said here. Excluding.
Yep.
Excluding.
Yeah.
It says a lot
That's
right
the
there.
challenge, isn't it?
Yeah,
That's the challenge right there.
Yep.
that says a lot.
That says a lot.
That says a lot.
Yep.
And we know that. Huh?
Yeah, no, because how can you kind of exclude someone when you have a child with them?
Well,
That's the challenge. That's where this comes from, though, isn't it?
yeah.
Trying to balance that
Mhm.
that situation of being an ex
Mhm.
or a previous relationship, but still because normally when you exit somewhere or you exclude something, it's gone for good.
Yeah.
If you exclude dairy from your diet, that's it. You don't have to touch dairy again,
Right.
right? But if you have a child with somebody, you
Yeah.
can't exclude them.
Mhm.
Like, you shouldn't, unless of course
Mhm.
exceptions to the rule aside, i.e., addiction or mental
Yeah.
health issues, or etc., etc.
Yeah.
But you can't exclude them. So not only they have to be in your life, They have to be in your life, even though they're not part of your life.
Mhm.
They still have to be in your life because of your joint enterprise.
Enterprise. You remember
That's it.
that terminology?
Right?
That's
Right? Your joint
Yeah.
enterprise.
Mhm.
You know, not to make it sound so distant, but you know, because of your child or children.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's very hard. So should it really be called X if you have children?
Well, I somehow, as I told you, I'm taking notes, but from the little bit I've gotten, from a theoretical point of view, people, when it comes to the X, it will always be a factor. However, what they're saying that there are certain things you might need to work out, like visitations, like expenses, who's going to pay what. And from what I'm understanding, they're saying if you work out all these things and you have it as a schedule and an understanding, when then it is encouraged that all persons pay particular attention to that, so that the X will not be calling or every minute in the house, meaning calling or contacting. They said to keep it as minimum as possible. So it's easing it out of their participation or their voice in your home or whoever's home. It should become less. Certain things should be worked out. Boundaries should be set so that they function in that capacity. When the children are within the new home, then that union is supposed to be protected. That's one of the words it said. Make sure that it is protected. So yeah, the person will always be there in a sense, but how much of the person will be in the relationship, that's what has to be determined.
I know realistically there are a lot of divorce and stuff that takes place as a result of the involvement of the ex.
Yes.
And
In
the
the
blended
relationship.
family.
Mhm,
Yeah.
mhm, mhm.
And it's a reality that is faced all the time. And then you obviously, you have discussions and so on where you hear they're too interfering or they're too involved.
Yeah.
And the person who have came and found them, it is almost as if they are living in the people's home.
Yeah.
I've had some experiences with stuff, person sharing, and obviously from a counseling point of view,
Yeah.
where a person would have shared, like, I feel like the person is actually living in my house because they're so involved. We obviously know that if they're, once their children are present, that there will be necessary discussions between the two parents of the children. But not in most cases, you find that a person's called the house too much. It could be overbearing, or the person is always opposing the new partner. Always have something negative to say, or while the child is with them, they present a negative, personality of the partner. And all of these things creates problems because when the child now goes back home or go mix with dad's family or mom's family, then you see an issue going on. Sometimes the child doesn't even know as yet what's really happening because of the bad blood that has been created by the ex. It lends to obviously further confusion. So how do we then limit the involvement in the home of the ex? Ladies?
It's boundaries, isn't it? You've got to have a boundary. I think the new couple, the blended family, the husband and wife, they have to have a discussion around how that's going to work,
Right.
and in terms of what is permissible, what is permitted, what's not. I'm not sure how often those kind of conversations actually take place. I think sometimes we just kind of blend and just, God's in the center and God will work it out.
Right,
and
exactly. Yep.
It'll be fine, God will work it
Faith.
out. Right. Okay. But he will, but you still got to do your own action. You
Of
still got
course.
to put your
That's
own
it.
things into place.
Yeah.
So I think definite conversations around boundaries and what's acceptable, what's not acceptable. And they may move. Because we said over the previous week, children grow up. So different things different boundaries have to be set, different boundaries have to be removed, or you know, changed in some way to accommodate the difference in their ages and personalities and whatever situation.
Right.
But it's about the couple having that adult, mature conversation with each other
Yeah.
about what is permitted and what isn't, what's acceptable and what isn't, and then stick to it.
Yeah.
It's all well and good having the talk, but if there's no commitment to the talk or to the arrangement, then you might as well just leave it then.
Yeah.
You know, but you've got to have that commitment.
Yeah. Another thing, point that came up as well, where the partner, you have to be honest and also recognize if you're dealing with a manipulative person, a manipulative ex. And of course, you know, from ministry and so on, you hear a lot of things. Not all exes are happy you moved on. So sometimes they intentionally do things to cause aggravation. And that's the word used, aggravation, in the new family. So therefore, that means spouses now in the present relationship, they have to be really realistic about their ex and their personality and how they operate, and then work to suit. So if you know you're dealing with a manipulative person, they said you need to handle that early. If you don't, I was surprised when I read that when that is not handled, a marriage could last between 1 to 5 years.
Right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So it's something that all parties need to listen to each other, understand grievances, and whoever must put measures in place, whether it is the woman put measure in place that the man knows he cannot fall in the home. Contact me on this particular number by a particular time. If you want, you can text, whatever. If there's need for conversation, then you work out that. But you have to define strict boundaries, because your whole emphasis is now on the new marriage and creating a safety zone for both partners. I think that is very critical, and you cannot play. And especially now in the Christian world, where, you know, whenever God is doing something great or fantastic, the enemy is not going to sit back and say, okay, all right, they're married now, it's all right. Nope. The enemy will poke fire at any given point. So you have to protect and guard whatever God bless you with.
Very, very true. And, you know, and you mentioned this in terms of setting guidelines and boundaries, because communication is one of the leading or major causes of divorce.
Yeah.
And, you know, or the lack of, I should say. So when there is bad communication, which is also connected to decision making, we take it for granted that our partners are comfortable with things that we have not discussed. So you know you have a child coming into the marriage, but you never discuss boundaries. Well, that's your daughter, you know, your daughter is important to you, so as she's important to you, then she's important to me. And we have those, what I will call vague agreements.
Assumption.
Yes.
Assumptions.
Yes. And then something goes wrong. And then you catch yourself like, well, what's happening here? I think it is important to know, and it's important to make decisions and live by them. You know, everything is run by laws. Marriage is run by laws. Love is run by law. The universe is run by laws. So I think that it's important to have discussions and make determinations up front as much as you can. And I was looking at an extract you had there, Doc, when it talks about X means death, or X is associated with something dying. So then there may be times where the child may not have gone to grieve. So you're bringing a broken child or a hurt child into a family. Child is already being conditioned, whether by the parent or just by looking on. And so then problems are there because there's no discussion. So this can be one of the causes of broken marriages. And like I said, I've seen it before. I've heard it before. And, you know, a person will come fight and say, I just couldn't take her daughter anymore.
Wow.
You know, I've heard something. I just couldn't take her daughter anymore because her daughter was so disrespectful. And when I tell her daughter something, she didn't want to hear, and so on. So these things are important. And as children of God, it's important for us to be clear and straight of the direction where we're going.
Yeah.
And I think that discussion is necessary up front. What should the discussion entail? What are the do's and what are the don'ts? Like you said, though. Do's and the don'ts. What are, let's say you have a 20-year-old daughter or 20-year-old son living with you now, and they are adults. So now you're accustomed to order in your house. So you say, well, if you're going out with your friends at 20, at least be home by 12. But then the other parent says, I accustomed to let them come in whenever. Like that is not a big thing for me. That's not.
Yeah.
So, but the
Not
other
an issue.
yeah, it's not an issue. So the other person is like, no, they gotta come in this time. So like you said earlier, Doc, you have to have discussion where those things are agreed on even before you move in or live together. And I know that marriage counseling sometimes person just do a little 3 months thing and stuff like that. But I think that it's important to go into detail because these kind of things are important as well. Not how much you love them and look into your face and tell me you tell the other person you love them and you're trying to say that that's enough. All those things are frivolous. You need to discuss the big things.
Yeah.
And which is the children that are coming with me, the daughter, the son that's coming with me, and then we all living together under one roof, and we are adults. Now, how do we function under one roof as adults and still maintain a sense of order and decency? Because these things are very important. And like I said, for what I've seen, I've seen marriages broken as a result of the stepchild, because no discussion or agreement was made.
I have a question for you. Do you think that because of the seriousness of both family blending and that in the counseling with the couple at some point that children should be included, both the entire family be included in that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yes, I agree with it because they are part of the thing. They're part of the enterprise. They are part of what is happening. And very often we forget them. And we just mosey on and we do what we have to do as adults because we don't think that's important. But then when we catch ourselves, they are right in the midst of it. So conversations that counseling should be like, so how do you feel about your mom or dad marrying so and so? How do you feel about you guys now living together? These kind of conversations are necessary in a blended family because here is a stranger that's coming into the child's life. I don't know you. Yes, you might have come to the house and we might have gone out together a couple of times and we might have had conversations, but when you are now living under the same roof, I'm seeing you on mornings, seeing you on evening, and I'm seeing you at night. I'm seeing you when I'm in a bad mood, and I'm seeing you when I'm angry. So this is why I'm saying that it's important to have these children a part of the counseling.
Process,
I know, process. Yes, thank you. I know that sometimes it may not be possible for everybody to go to counseling, but I really feel that the counselor should take time to go to the home then, because this is something that has the potential to hurt others if not managed properly. Because it's hard enough when you're a mom and dad living under the same roof and the child shares both parents. That's tough enough. Versus, when you're blending now, you have a little more friction and stuff to deal with. So that's why I think it is very important to have that have them as part of the session, the counseling session, prior to the marriage.
I agree. There's a whole emotional, change, the whole emotional matter, and that is not something you can take lightly. And I think Colin mentioned it, like when there's an ex, there's that degree of grieving that will be happening. I'm no longer just with my mom. No, I have another. It all depends on the scenario, right? So we have to help the children process the whole analysis process again. But they have to go through it somehow to get a understanding, because there will be at times maybe displacement, there may be uncertainty, who to go to, how to handle this, how to respond. All of these need to be ironed out to help pave the way. I tell you.
I have a friend of mine. She
Mhm.
was dating this guy, and he had 2 children. And she doesn't have children. So I think that's also another dynamic when only one partner is bringing children.
Children in.
That's
Right.
another. That's
Yes,
a whole
yes,
other
yes,
dynamic
yes,
as well.
Mm.
But she actually, which I thought was quite brave of her actually.
Mm.
She actually made arrangements to meet the mother
Mm.
and sat down with the mother
Right.
and spoke and said, look, because if this child is, or these children are going to be coming into my home,
Yeah.
you know, we need to have a
Right.
discussion,
Right,
kind of thing. Because she was saying that if it
So,
was
so the
her,
mom took that initiative.
no, it was my friend who's the stepmom.
Right.
Stepmom.
She reached out to the mum
So okay.
to have
This-
through her husband, you know,
Right.
had that discussion.
Right.
But they sat down
Mhm.
and had a discussion, a 3-way discussion,
Mm.
Mhm.
and then she had a meeting with the mother on her own, just the 2 of them, to discuss
Mhm.
how this was going to work.
Mhm.
I was like, oh, you brave, you brave.
Yeah.
that's
That's
but it's real
Yeah, but-
mature.
Yeah, mature,
you know,
yeah,
it's
yeah,
very,
yeah.
very, very mature.
Yeah.
And I think also because the mother was amicable, she didn't have any baggage, or she
Right.
just wanted the best for her child as
Right.
well, and so
Right.
she was fine. So I think again it goes back to what we were saying about last week or the week before, and talking about maturity, think putting the child first and
Mhm.
not thinking about
Mhm.
yourself and just you and your partner. But that was one way of doing that. Meeting if the situation allows. I think
I love that,
that
though.
is a
I love that.
worthwhile. Yeah, and it
so
really,
love
really
that.
worked
Yeah.
because it was a case, as you said, the child's grieving because like, oh, now my mum and dad were together, but they're not, and sometimes they blame
Right.
the step parent, thinking that step parents are the one to
Right.
break the family
Yeah.
down.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't for you, my parents would be together,
Uh-huh.
and all of that, because obviously they'd seen it through child's eyes, so they
Yeah.
don't know the background. But by seeing all 3 together, working together, the child then, oh, okay, well, mummy or daddy's not upset, so
Right.
that, so maybe
Right.
I shouldn't be upset, or there's no need for me to be upset because it's kind of cool.
Mhm.
And I remember you saying about a friend of yours whose daughter was walked down the arbor, her father and stepfather.
No,
was it?
she had
on
she had
funeral.
died
The
before-
funeral,
yeah.
funeral,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So they carried the coffin, the father, and so you have that kind of synchronization between everybody, and I think that helps with the whole kind of ex issue
Mhm.
if everyone is mature enough to have that conversation, because only
Right.
one party might be mature enough, and then obviously it's pointless having that conversation.
Right.
But if you can do it, that would also be one way of dealing with the ex issue.
I love that. I feel friend was here with shit. That is maturity to a different degree.
Mm. But I'm wondering if it's because she doesn't have children of her own.
Well, to me, that's like a
Mm.
huge step.
Because it's
But
her personality.
I know, but I
Yeah.
tell you, some people don't like to do things unless they know.
Yeah, that
So
was
then-
her. Because that's what another thing. She's like,
There
oh,
you
but I
go.
need to know. Though.
I need to know who I'm
Right.
going to be dealing
Yeah.
with, because make or break, she
Yeah,
can
she
determine
can
what
work
kind
on
of
it.
marriage.
Yes. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I
So, it's
totally.
wisdom.
Yeah. I totally like it, and
Mhm.
I would for sure
Recommend it.
recommend
Yeah.
it.
Can
Yeah.
happen,
Yeah. Once, and like you said, once you're dealing with persons who are mature
Mhm.
and still not in a place of anger, because sometimes when we think of ex, is we think of angry, bitter, frustrated, want to get back at you kind of person.
Mhm.
Yes.
But if they're not in that place,
Mhm.
then for sure a good discussion will work,
Mm.
because then the child will see this united front of people that are raising me,
Mm.
because the step parent
Mhm.
is gonna be raising the child whether
Yeah.
the other person likes it or not, because they're gonna either by verbally or how they behave.
Yeah.
Because the nice children when ask anything, but they'll look on and see what you're doing. They're good watchers.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
They're great
Very
watchers.
good.
Don't miss
Very
anything.
Not at all.
Mm.
So we have this dynamic. So I would for sure recommend that, because we have a conversation. Let's have a conversation. The kids are coming over, you know, have that mature conversation with that person will be fantastic. And like I said, I would definitely recommend it. In the event though, where you have an uncooperative ex, it is best that the person who has the child with them be the person who is speaking with them, you know, to avoid confusion where necessary, and also to, you know, I think that sometimes we don't put them on our foot enough and let persons know, well, you can't call up my house and disrespect my spouse. You know, that's not something I will allow.
Exactly.
You know, if you know, not at all. Because the last thing you need is to make your spouse feel small by an outside force, and that's what the ex would be, an outside force. So in that event, you know, it is important. What would be so great is if during the counseling, the ex could be involved, not the marriage counseling, but not the marriage counseling. Oh no, that no.
In the family counseling.
In the family counseling, yeah, you know, you have this discussion. So what do you guys feel about, I mean, this may be standing at the edge of a building with 1 foot over, but what do you guys think about when there are like stuff like Christmas where you have the children with you, the one parent? What do you think about inviting
No.
Inviting who?
No.
Yay! I sense
Well,
it.
I guess you're saying no as well.
Oh.
We just talked about being too involved in the
It's
household
an
and having a
ex.
third
I'm
person.
outnumbered here.
It's an
Let's hear your
X.
thoughts. Let's hear your thoughts.
It's an X factor. In other words, at this stage, let's say Christmas. Christmas is known fact. That's when you create your own family tradition, your own bonding, whatever. You're creating something new and fresh.
Right.
X factors tend to
Excellent.
muddy the
Excellent.
water.
When this conversation, I've had this conversation before with other people, it's always men who don't seem too fussed.
You
And it's the women like,
you
I
want
go,
to know
no,
why?
no.
We just got it.
Because I feel, right?
My home is my
the
castle,
men
so-
just logical. Okay, in their mind, that's
Easy
not
life.
my wife. This is so and so, but I just throw in mother.
Right.
And that's
Yes,
it.
and that's it. That's
Right.
what I'm saying. They
Yeah.
can.
Yeah, they compartmentalize and
They can exit.
It's
Yeah.
X
Completely.
because
Yeah.
my emotion is not into her anymore.
Right,
It is
right.
just my wife.
Right.
Good. So you covered. But then for the woman now, she's more of an emotional being,
You're in my
feeling the
space.
energy. This is the home I
You're in my
created for
space.
my husband and my
Yeah.
children.
Mhm.
Why are you here? Not disrespectfully, but yet disrespect. Why are you here? This is our space now.
Right.
So when she
Mhm.
comes in, it's like no.
Would you be okay with your spouse's ex coming
Your
in?
wife,
Another
let's
man,
put it. Your
If the-
another
wife,
man
Absolutely.
coming into your house?
With
Yeah.
the blend same
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
He. You see that little
Yeah.
tweet, the
I
mouth,
wouldn't.
the mouth
No, I believe
twitch,
him.
his mouth twitch.
You know, unless
I
I see you
just-
going in my bedroom or
I-
something, you know, but
I
you know,
don't know.
especially like what I'm thinking that is, if let's say you have a good relationship with the children, and you know you're children, you're cool, you're stuff like that, and you're like, you know, that to me that will give the children some joy. So
Why,
you invite your dad
why
over.
would you want to? I'm just trying to think of myself. Why would I want to be in his space with his new partner? And
All of that.
why?
But then it will be up to the ex to say no, I'm good or whatever.
But I know an ex was invited to the wedding.
Yeah, but I've seen that.
I don't know an ex of my wedding.
This is
When you introduce the person, who's this person? Oh, this is someone's ex-wife, ex-husband. Oh no, and it's my no.
You see, that's why I tell you no, because well, from here, from
Too involved for
hearing,
me.
you have to be very wise in this matter of introduction and incorporating. Because I have heard.
So-
I ain't finished. Because my good daddy was in ministry, I get to hear some things, right? Because sometimes you could try and include the other person
Too much,
because it
man.
looks friendly,
Right.
but that was just their cover to
Mhm.
ease in.
Mhm.
And then they drop in little bombers in between and make certain statements in
So
between.
it's like
you
avoid
have
the
to
very
know.
appearance of evil.
Yes, and there was a connection there before, and anything could
Yes.
spark that connection again. You start to
Yes.
remember why you was attracted to that person.
Yeah,
Why
and
did we split up again?
What's
And all
Christmas? It's only Christmas time.
When everybody's happy and lovey,
Yeah,
and,
yeah, yeah,
and,
yeah.
and
Yeah,
oh, everyone's best friend.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Try for
No.
Not
that.
at my house.
Maybe if you feel come to some mutual place, but
No.
it's not necessary.
We just talked about X as being too involved,
X.
right?
Uh,
And Christmas is a very
man.
special time, particularly
Right.
for the Christian,
Mhm.
Christian household.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, that's
No,
too.
no.
No, that's not necessary. If
Listen.
you're having, I can understand having like a birthday party for the children. It's at your
Yeah.
house, and they
Right.
come over. No problem.
Oh, so birthday party.
That would be
cool.
fine.
Oh,
Because
okay,
that's
okay, okay.
No, children's birthday.
Children's.
Children.
The children, right? The children. No,
The
children. The children.
Definitely children.
Right.
Yes,
Let
yes,
them
yes,
know.
yes.
Oh, you agree
because
with that too?
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
I
okay,
agree with
okay.
that
You
because
let
that
them
was.
know, and then
Okay.
it's up to
I
them
grew
to
up like
decide.
that, so
Yeah.
I understand that.
Right.
My father would come over to my mum's house. My mum would go over to when it's my birthday. Whoever's
Yeah.
having my party,
Okay.
so they would come over.
Mhm.
Not a problem because you're there for the children.
For
Remember,
the
keeping the children in
Right.
mind,
For the children.
right?
Right.
Worst thing you want to do is blowing out candles and daddy's not there or mummy's not there,
Exactly.
right? So
Right.
children in mind.
Yeah.
Birthday party, no problem.
Mhm.
Graduation. or something.
Graduation,
Mhm.
any kind of party for the children, we can allow a
You know?
pass into
Yeah.
the house for
Okay.
that.
Okay.
But my Christmas or Easter or my
Special
birthday or
events.
anniversary or
No.
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 Okay,
You're not needed.
Right. I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that.
Stay scriptural.
I'm-
Forsaking the things that happen.
Die. Yes.
I'm fine with that. I just wanted to see,
Just a
you know,
feel.
what your lady was saying.
What is it,
Because the
right?
person
You
is,
got it.
yeah, I sure got it.
Mm.
Boom. You know, the person coming into your space, but like you said, that you're thinking about the children and you know what is good for them, and seeing adults work together. I think is also good for children, because children need to see stability, and stability is the united front of both parents as
Yeah.
opposing to
Yeah.
the other one hitting at the other and tearing the other apart, because then there's imbalance going on. So it is necessary to do that. So I like that as well.
Even to be honest, if it's Christmas, but it was outside, like you're at a hotel for dinner, for
Mm.
Christmas dinner or something like that. Again, it's in a mutual public space, possibly.
Okay.
And that would be because your children really, really want just this Christmas, perhaps,
Mm.
everybody together. But then it would have to be an external Christmas. It still can't be.
Hmm.
Right.
I still maintain Christmas is a really family thing. So I keep creating a new culture.
But
But
remember,
when
the
it
spouse
comes-
is family to the children.
Well, to the child.
You
That
see?
is
For
why
the child.
this is how we work.
That's what I said.
When I had to deal with it,
Mm.
it was like between parents.
Mm.
Yeah? One Christmas you'll be with me, next
Mm.
Christmas you'll be with your father. So if
Right.
you're with your dad, you will be with his environment, whoever he's with.
Yes,
Mm.
but sometimes the children do want to open up their gifts or whatever with both of
Both.
their parents.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm
Those- I
saying,
guess young children.
if you've got young children, you're older, you again, flexible boundaries,
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
of course.
things
to the
change.
age group.
But very young children who don't understand 4, 5, 6,
Right.
perhaps I might make an exemption. You can come in the morning, open up gifts, and then you say your goodbyes. Some
Mm.
No, you're a
So-
castle. You're a castle. You're a castle.
yeah, it's my domain, man. It's
No.
like woo.
But what I recognize though, that a lot of people, and from what I pick up, because I remember I was talking to, they try to get some feedback.
Mm.
They're so quick to say, we can create a healthy family, or we can create a healthy balance between.
Mm.
But at the end of the day, you still have to define what is healthy.
Mm.
You still have to be willing to guard and protect what you do have in the present.
Mm.
So I admit, I may be narrow-minded in certain things, and that the boundaries will be kind of tight. In the sense that, no boy,
That's a fortnight.
you to me is when you have your marriage is strong and the foundation is set,
Mm.
and everybody's stable,
Right.
children understand their roles, and siblings know how to react with one another,
Mhm.
then you
You can risk something
ease
like
up. Yeah.
that. Okay.
It's like when you have a new plant, I see gardeners do it. They set like a barrier, a wall right around it.
Mhm.
When it's tall enough and strong enough to withstand the wind, then they remove it.
Right.
So anybody can come. But when you see you have a young marriage, that first, protect it.
I like that. I like that.
Protect
I like that
it.
as well. You
Yeah.
know, because the dynamic of the blended family already comes with a disadvantage, and you mentioned it earlier that in terms of I have lost the presence of my two parents, especially, and it's difficult for children if the child grew up and they're 3 and 4 years old. I saw mommy and daddy lying in the same bed on mornings, getting up and having breakfast together, and then dropping off mommy to work first, and then taking me to school, or daddy drop off daddy first and taking me to school, and then we pick up daddy on evenings. You have that dynamic, and no, that's no longer happening. Here comes this person who has now you're picking her up from work. We used to pick up mommy or used to pick up daddy from work. So then the child is like,
From a child's eye, they just see this one parent gone and this other person in.
Yes.
They don't know the
Yeah,
nuts and
what's
bolts of
going
the
on.
context.
Right.
So that's how they don't see that.
Right.
So
Very, very
it's-
true.
Yeah.
So does that pose the question? Because sometimes couple they meet together, they love, and they're ready to begin life together. How soon or when do you know when is the right time to really blend as a family?
That's a good one. That's a
I don't
very
think
good question.
Is that a conscious thought?
Hmm?
Is that a conscious thought for most blended families?
I don't know, but I'm saying
I'm not sure.
coming out of what we are discussing here, I don't think I'm stepping forward unless certain things are ironed out. This is my understanding because I'm recognizing that the dynamics, or as you just discussed, now you're seeing dad, he's not taking up mom anymore, but I am sitting in the front seat. And that's another thing too. They say how we have to define who's sitting in the front seat. The child might have been sitting in the front seat all the time, but now the wife is in the place, so that means the child have to go to the back seat. All of these elements you have to be dealing with. So the child has to be debating and we're adjusting and seeing all of these things. How do we know when is the safe time
You know your child.
to
You have to know your child.
know your child?
You have to read your child.
And I like I see Solomon was saying something here, and I saw Tamisha agreeing with him. Let's see if we get it. See if we get the right one.
Maturity.
Maturity. Yeah, she's
Yeah.
responding to. Oh, here it is. Here it is. I
What's
wanted
that?
to see that comment. He says the parties can create a healthy environment when they act responsible and mature. And I agree with that as well, because well, first of all, marriage can't be for immature people,
There you go.
because that will be a problem, obviously. And secondly, when it comes to the blended, you need some extra maturity,
Thank
because
you. Oh,
you're going to need some extra grace here going on.
For you heard what she said too. When they act,
Yeah,
because a person can be mature, a person can be responsible.
right,
But then when you come within the blended family arena,
right,
are you willing to act it out?
right,
Mature meaning recognizing X, Y, and Z and being able to execute it no matter what it takes, because
Yeah.
your whole objective is to make your new home a safe zone.
Mhm.
So that act is a
I like that.
three-letter
I
word.
like that.
It's just
safe zone.
dropped.
Safe
Yeah.
zone. Yeah.
Act is a three-letter word, but it makes a huge difference.
Mhm.
I could be mature on my job, mature and so and so, but then when it comes to protecting the other person, and I'm learning things as I interact too, because a person may come and say yes, they care and X, Y, and Z, but then when something happens, they don't say anything.
Mhm. Yeah.
I mean, that happened. Okay.
Yeah.
They
Because
did
it's-
not
it's-
say anything. So
Right.
when I didn't say anything yet, I just observed. So then on asking afterwards, they said, well, that will iron out itself, it will work out. I said, what?
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't.
It doesn't. It
You
doesn't.
didn't say that.
Just
It doesn't iron out
it
itself. And praying and getting the pastor to bless the family. doesn't iron out
Thank
itself.
you. Thank
There
you.
there
A
needs
man
to
said
be.
it.
There needs to be. It's true. There need to be
Act.
discussion, and there need to be Remember we talked about it last week, where you
Mm.
bring the family together, you have conversations, whether it's tea hour,
Mm.
coffee
Yeah,
hour,
yeah.
sweet
Sunday,
bread hour,
yeah.
whatever.
Sweet buddy.
Whatever, you have
It's true.
because the reality is it is a lot of work, and it can be pressure on the marriage. And like you
Mhm.
said, marriage is already has its work,
Yeah,
and plus the blended family, there's that as well.
yeah.
Because this is three different dynamics here. Because when you get married, and you're coming together, living together now, you know how to learn each other. Oh, he drops his socks at the door. I drop my toothbrush somewhere. I don't wash my clothes every day. I wash every 2 weeks. You have these different dynamics to deal with, and then boom, right in the center of the dynamics is the dynamic of the children.
Children.
Who also come with their own way of doing stuff. So that's why I'm really emphasizing the importance of mature people in a blended family. Being responsible, having plain discussion. And one of the things that I find as believers, we because we talk about extending grace, we extend grace, and we pile up stuff.
Mm.
And so after a while, there's no discussion about anything. Oh, okay, just let it go.
Yes,
And then one day somebody blows, and everything just comes out, and you
Yeah.
sit there like, but all I did was drop a piece of cheese on the ground.
Yeah, but that's the straw that broke the camel's
Yeah.
back.
And exactly.
See, that's why I don't agree with the word act, actually.
Right.
I don't agree
Right.
with the word act,
Right.
mature.
Yeah.
I think you just have
You
to
mean just
be
be
mature.
mature.
Because
Yeah.
anybody can act mature.
Well,
I can
well,
put on
yeah.
a facade and a persona
I got your
and
point.
pretend to be,
Yeah.
Yeah.
because, you want certain things to go your way or whatever.
Mhm.
We can all act because
Right.
deep down in our hearts and our minds, we know what we should be doing.
Yeah.
Right.
But
Yeah.
because of the emotion, the situation, or whatever, sometimes that takes over
Mhm.
and you end up acting out differently.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
that's
So I don't believe in acting mature. I
Yeah.
think once you are mature as a person
Should
in
come
your
Right,
heart and your
right.
mind, it will
Naturally
permeate
come
between
up.
onto
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
You don't have to act mature.
Mhm.
I think sometimes you have to be intentional about being mature.
Yeah.
Right.
So even though you're a mature person, your emotions will take over.
Mhm.
And you have to think that no. Let me think about this.
Yeah.
Let me talk to somebody, or let me
Mhm.
think and let me pray or whatever.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And sort this out, because I know what I want to do right now, how I feel
Mhm.
is not the right thing,
Yeah.
Right.
because I can see X, Y, and Z. Because when you're mature, you can foresee
Mhm.
potentially what will happen if you
Right.
don't do
Right,
what
right,
you're
right,
supposed
right,
to do,
right,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
So I think it's about being a mature person in
Yeah.
general,
Mm.
keeping the child or children at the forefront. And trust me, as a person who's been in a blended family, is in a blended family,
Mhm.
it is not easy to live in it. It's
Right.
not easy to be part of it as a child.
Right.
I was in a blended family as a child.
Yeah.
I'm now in a blended family as an adult, married with external children and so on.
Right.
Mhm.
It's not easy. It is.
Right.
It's hard to manage your marriage, your children,
Mm.
your own children, their children, the exes. It
Yep.
is such a minefield.
Yep.
Mhm.
And so if you are not mature, and for me, if I didn't have the Holy Spirit and Christ, oh gosh, I don't even know where
Yeah.
you'll be sometimes.
Yeah.
But it's about being mature and having that communication with your spouse, and sitting down and having those discussions like, look, what's happening here? What we need to do this, we need to do that, we need to think about this, we need to do that. And there's a lot of thinking and talking and thinking and talking and talking
Yep.
and thinking
Yep.
and thinking
Yep.
and talking.
Yep.
But
And constantly.
that's why
Yep.
I repeated it.
Yep.
That's why I went backwards.
Yep.
Thinking and talking and thinking,
Yeah.
because otherwise, as you said, you got to you make your home your safe
Safe
zone, and your
zone.
marriage has to be your safe zone.
Yeah.
Right.
And then your children have to be your safe zone as well,
Yeah.
because you're
Mhm.
still their parent.
Yep.
You're still there to protect them
Yep.
until they get a certain age or what have you. So it is tough. It is not an easy thing, but it is possible.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And it can be done, but you have to be mature.
Yeah.
You have to be mature.
Yeah.
And for sure, one of the worst things in a marriage is to have a child in the middle and two parents trying to make this thing work with a child in the middle.
Mm.
Because you have dynamics that you have to consider. Because let's say you are a Christian,
Mm.
the dad is a Christian or the mother is a Christian, the two parents are
Christian.
Christians, and then the child isn't.
Mm.
and they came from a home where
Or
mommy
the
goes
exes
partying
or the exes and
or
yeah.
daddy goes partying, and they're cool with that. You know, they go partying.
Or have
So
alternate lifestyles or
yeah,
something like that. and
yeah.
you've got to know
So, or you have where, and this is a reality where your stepchild is gay.
All of that.
So you have
Yeah, that one, yeah.
you.
Please, no. I don't want that one.
Oh,
Because
boy.
these
These
are
you have to
these are
manage
yeah
that.
these are real realities in life, and you know, sometimes we may not talk about them publicly,
Mm.
but they go on behind our doors. So when somebody sees somebody divorced, they're like,
And the
What?
church doesn't help with all those things.
I'm sorry?
The church
No.
right,
sometimes really
Right.
doesn't help.
right,
No,
those
no, no, no,
things.
no,
Right.
no, no.
Right.
From
Right.
time, I'm sorry, but this has always been my peeve. From time you are divorced, they are more concerned. For some churches, but from what I know,
Mm.
they're more concerned that you don't worship lead anymore, you don't do so and so, and sometimes people look at you with a scorn or disdain,
Right.
and like one, just blatantly try to disrespect you in front of
Right,
people.
right.
Mm.
If you're this and that, how come you can't keep your marriage together in
Yeah.
front of other people? You know what I mean?
Mm.
Yeah.
But I'm saying, yeah, you don't know. I went on Google. I put 150% into this.
Right.
But this is what happened.
Right.
Mm.
But people are not always sensitive to
Right.
help people. And the thing is, the sad thing is when people invest their life into the church environment, and then when they lose everything, you have to lose sometimes even the connection they have with the church and the family.
Well, one of the things that I would want persons to understand or know, a divorce is like death,
Yeah.
and our divorce is death.
It is there.
So, you have persons who are grieving, and I know because it's frowned upon,
Yeah.
you push persons away,
Isolate.
and then when you have children involved, that's a double whammy.
Mm.
I'm
So
telling
you really have to think on that. Well, I just want to look at a couple questions here.
Yes, you want to make sure.
Yeah, she says, "What is a good time to
Yeah.
introduce the kids to the new significant other?"
Um,
I don't know. I don't know.
and that alone is so
My child met my significant other when I met my significant other
Oh yeah,
at the same time.
because of how you
Because
all
of how we
met.
met.
right.
So I really, I didn't have that challenge.
Right,
I didn't
right,
have that
okay.
challenge.
Okay.
But I think, again, you got to know your child. Is your child ready? Are you, no, wait, let me back up.
Hmm.
Are you sure the significant other is
It's
the
a significant other. That's it.
I think that's the first question.
Correct.
Right.
Once you've established that is the significant other at
Mhm.
whatever benchmark or marker you use, you then have to read your child. Is your child ready to share you?
Yeah, and that kind of
Because
way.
that's the thing.
And
Those
also,
discussions. It depends on the age of the child as well.
yeah, right, and also before you bring the children into the picture, I think it's important to work out if this is the direction that you're going to go,
Yeah.
That's what I'm
because
saying,
you don't want appearing disappearing.
Yeah.
You don't want
That's too
the
much.
children
Too much.
confused.
Mm.
So you want to work out that first, and I would suggest things like, let's see how you treat your mother, or let me see how you treat your father. Let me see how you treat your children. Let me see all of these things before I go putting on my children's face.
Mhm.
You
But
know,
what if the person does not have children or parents because they passed away?
How they deal with
let me see how you treat people.
people.
You know,
Yeah.
and stuff like that. I think that all of these things are important, so that you don't just bring the person in. For me, it's not about time in terms of 3 months or a year or whatever.
Mm.
To me, it's important. What do you feel in your spirit?
Mhm.
Are they ready?
With this
Are you
person.
ready?
Are you ready? Are they ready? Is my children ready for such? I think that's important to work out that before you even go forward. Or shoot, go as a friend
Mm.
and say, well, kids, I have a friend who wants to take us out, or we're gonna go with a friend of mine and see how the response is. See how they get along before
They're
you
ready
go
to share
saying,
you.
"There's my man," or
Oh.
before you go telling the
Yeah.
children that, let's go to a movie together.
Yeah.
I don't have to hold my hands. Don't hold my hands. I'm not
Just
holding.
not
I'm not
nothing.
hugging you. I'm not
Mm.
kissing you or anything.
Platonic.
we are going out together with the children, and let's see how this goes. And you know, you don't necessarily have to do this preparation thing because you want to see
And
straight
natural.
and naturalness. You don't want the fake.
Yeah.
So you don't want to, you know. So I would say that. So I'm not introducing you as any significant other or anything. And we're going out. Let's see how it goes,
Mm.
and then then you go from there. I think that's the best way. Before you throw them in.
But you know what happens sometimes? You might feel this is the significant one.
Right.
This is.
Right.
And then within a month or two, so you really
Exactly.
have to be sure.
Exactly.
Wow.
Yep. It's necessary to be. The next question. Sorry.
Mhm.
Uh-huh.
No, I think I was going to the next
Oh, okay.
question. I think Tamisha posed
Right.
where the child, there's differences in handling the child, or the child is in the middle again. Step it up there, coming down. But it has to do with handling a child who's indifferent. Let's say the child does not like the person that you're bringing into your life.
Right.
How do you handle that scenario? I don't like him. No, Mom, I don't feel he'll do so and so.
Yeah.
Should I go ahead?
Because
Should I-
even as I know of a few situations where the adult children doesn't like the other partner
Mhm.
for whatever reason, they don't get along. That's problems.
Yeah.
That's a hard one. That's you imagine being in that in the middle of it.
Mm.
My children love me, but you love me, but you or my children can't get along.
Yeah.
I would suggest in a scenario like that, counseling.
Mhm.
Bringing somebody outside person who neutral, yes, to give some guidance on how, and if the child loves you and if the person loves you, they would agree to it. I do not subscribe to, and I hear all the time where persons say, "Oh, men don't like counseling." I do not subscribe to that at all. You don't know everything, you don't understand everything, and there are things we all need guidance about. So I think that it's important to have that person come in and sit down with the family and make peace, so that somebody won't die from a broken heart.
But you raise a point, a very important point, and I've seen this coming up, and even recently, talking. You said men. I get the feeling that men don't like counseling. Even if you raise it and said, okay, I think I might have to deal with something, or we might have to find a way how to work it out. They will look at you and say, well, you know what? We don't need counseling. I don't need counseling. I
Right.
think all you need to do is have faith. I've heard that. All
Right.
you need to do is have faith.
Yeah.
So it's
Or
coming up.
prayer. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
and trust God some more. So I'm hearing, and I've had to deal with it personally more than once. And the person just did not want counseling.
No.
So what it is? Why
Actually,
does someone think like that?
that's one of the questions that
Huh?
Men that like talking. Sorry.
But yeah, they
No,
don't
no,
like
don't try,
talking, but
let-
if this
Let him talk.
talking
Let him talk.
will determine whether you have a potential relationship or marriage, you won't want to talk.
Yeah,
Let the man speak.
I was just saying that I think it's important during courtship or getting to know somebody is you ask them, so what do you feel or how do you feel
Yeah.
about counseling? And if the person says no, I don't want counseling,
Red flag.
don't. That's a red flag.
Red
though.
flag.
Red flag.
Yeah, because you're telling me that all your life you will know all that you need to know, and you don't need any
Anybody-
guidance.
Wow.
And for me, that is a no. We have to be open to counseling. You have to be open to get help. And
Yeah.
and in a blended family, it is something that is absolutely necessary
Wow.
because there will come times where you can't handle something and you need the input of others in it. I think we sometimes, and when I say we as
Men?
believers,
Oh.
we hide up so much when it comes to marriage and problems in marriage and stuff like that, and we fake it real bad.
But I
So
said-
we carry it, we go along like all is well, and then at home, you come to church, you worship, you talk in tongues, you throw a tantrum or whatever, you choose to call it, and then you go back home with issues like this. And to me, that is
Not helping.
that's wrong. And then you raise broken children
Yeah.
as a result.
Yeah.
You know, maybe you can share that with us.
So there's something here. So just leading on from Pastor Brian's point about hiding in church. To me, set families sometimes feel the need to hide in the church. We talked about the stigma of divorce and second marriage and the blended family and taking on other people's children and that kind of talk. And so step families are kind of silenced. Like they're a family, but they're not seen as a family to some extent.
Right.
And so you can sometimes, blended families can have the pressure or think that they need to pretend that everything is perfect, that we are like a normal family. And then, the church doesn't really encompass the language to include step families or blended families.
Right.
So, for example, like on Mother's Day or Father's Day, if you're there with your stepchildren, you don't have children, for example, are you their mother? Are you included in that? Will the church see you as their mother and still give you a gift and whatever? They say, so and the language, doesn't, just the kind of culture of the church doesn't embrace blended families or step families in that regard. Maybe because it's taboo, because it's something that it's only perhaps maybe now in the last 10, 15 years, it's now become more common in church.
Right.
I don't know, but I guess church really need to look at their congregation and see what their congregation is made up of. Is it single parents, men, mother or father? Is there blended? Is there no parents at all? Are they being raised by their grandparents? How is that encouraged? Because that's kind of like okay, isn't it? If a grandparent is raising a child. No one really maybe questions where the parent is. Their grandma, their granny, so that's fine, or granddad. But the culture doesn't really encompass or encourage or I don't not encourage us to go out and have encourage blended families once you're in your church.
I think that it can be encouraged and it should be. And as I think of the dynamic of family isn't necessarily only blood.
No.
We human beings say it as that. I think it is much more than that. So when you get married to someone who has already have children, there's this extension of family going on. So the step parent now has a mother or father if they're alive or whatever. So the child should be able to benefit from that side of the family as well.
Yeah.
I've known instances where the stepchild went over by the step parent's house, family's house, and they're deeply involved. I know scenarios like that, and it really works well, So I think that having that support is also important. I think as families, church families, we kind of shy away from you're right, the blended family scenario, when truth and fact is something that can work for everybody and work well. I think that we don't take the time to have conversations, or we don't take the time to help persons heal when they go through certain things, and I mean, as a pastor, I think it's our responsibility to have meetings with our families, especially when persons are joining families together. It's important to have these meetings or have discussions, or maybe have families, because the enemy is after families in an aggressive manner. Have families be accounted to you. Have husband and wife be accounted to you and stuff like that, so that you know what is going on, so that you can help guide. It's not about being malicious, or you want to go and preach to them from the pulpit, and that's another story. But I think that's important to keep persons sharp, because the enemy is busy and he goes after families aggressively. So I think that producing, giving knowledge, giving guidance, giving information, giving support, keeping them accountable to you can help the marriage
Spiritual
work.
covering.
Yeah, and that's what spiritual covering would be about. Like, and let me know what's going on. How are things? If you don't tell me how are things, I'm already watching though to see how you're interacting with each other. I'm watching to see how your stepdaughter or stepson comes to you. I'm watching to see if they don't come to you. I'm watching to see if they are avoiding you like the plague. You know, I'm watching all that. I'm watching to see if when they sit down, they don't want to touch you. They side around the other side of the pair. All that I'm watching. Yeah, because it is necessary to pay attention to those things. So for me, that's what I do. I pay attention. I want to see what is going on. I want to see what the child will call you. I want to see what you will call the child. I want to see if you're going to treat them different from how you treat your own, and stuff like that. Because because you can damage people and you can have these issues going on in your marriage, and tear people apart. So I think that you are coming already, and I use this word carefully. You're coming already in a disadvantaged position, because of something that has already been done. And senses have wrought. It's like when you can get a better fitted pants if you go to the tailor and get it made. When you go and buy one, if that's already made, then you have to take time now to where the altering goes on. So I have to this is too long. Let me get the bottom cut off. It's too big at the side. I need the tailor to take in. So you're coming something already done. So now you must look at ways to make this thing work. So how can this thing work? So tweaking, conversations, there will come a time where you have to discipline the child. How do we discipline the child? Do we hit the child? So we have discussion with the other parent, and then you say, well, this is how we have decided that how we will handle it. It's okay for Charity, it's okay for calling to hit you or my daughter, but we have agreed that it's okay. What do you think about that? And you hear a child, well, no, don't hit me, or that is, you have the discussion so that at every turn there's conversation and everybody understands the expectation of the other. So, or we have decided that your stepmom or stepdad is not going to hit you. I'm going to hit you alone. Okay, that's what we've decided. And with private conversation, the directors are meeting, and then the directors are coming to everybody else with what has been discussed, and then they want to hear your opinion, and then we'll make this law. This is the law that we made. You have a child, an adult child, 20 years old, who wants to go partying, and you don't want them to go partying because you are a bishop, and you're a first lady, and you're blending up together nicely as a family, but the child wants to go partying. So you have a discussion privately. Okay, you have to be here by 12 though, or whatever. You have the discussion, like the rules of the house. And then, okay, so we cool with that. Yes, blah, blah, blah. John, Mary, come, let's talk. So we had a discussion. We know that you're not a believer and so on, and you want to go with your friends partying or whatever. So this is what we have discussed. You think that you should be home by 1 o'clock. What do you think about that? No, I'm an adult. I should be able to come at 3. So then you have this discussion. So you have because you're having this discussion. Well, you're having this discussion so that everybody is on a page where they can work together or get along. The idea is to work with each other and not against each other.
Correct.
What happens if you make those rules and the ex is telling the child, they can't tell you that, you're a big person. Right. That infiltration again. Because the child is not now 15, 16. They are 20. They are adults, big adults now. So how do you manage that? I know what over to you guys.
Well, for me, you don't live in my house, so you can't make the rules in my house. Exactly.
Simple.
If we made a decision as the head of the family, this is what we've discussed. We've come and we discuss it with the child, the adult child, as it were. And so if you say 1, you say, why not? Can it not be 130? Okay, could be 130. But your influence, you cannot influence what happens in here because this is not your space to influence. You know, so that's how I would approach it. We still have to be careful though how we respond to the ex, because you don't want the child to think that you're trying to kill their father or mother, because you could be aggressive and hurt the child. The child think, well, my stepmom really don't like my mommy, and that will damage the child, put the child in a funny place. So when I'm with stepmom, I don't want mommy to think that I'm happy.
That does happen.
Yeah,
It happens.
so I think that it's important to again have the discussion, and we keep reiterating the discussion thing. We think that it is important to talk. That's what we're talking about when we say discussion. Talk with each other, hear the opinion, hear the ideas, the don't likes, the do's, the don't do's, and so on. And I would say as well, don't rush it. Do it over a period of time. You do it before, and you do it during, and you do it later on, so that at the end of this family functioning together as one, there is no family rivalry, there is no shedding of blood, there is no curse outs, there is nothing like that going on, because we have done our best to be upfront. And the father, whether stepfather or father, has to bring it all together.
That's it.
Has to be the person calling the meetings. Well, honey, so and so is the case. I would like to meet with the children. This is my thoughts. What are your thoughts on this? And then go to the children. So that when you're downstairs or upstairs or whatever, you're talking to the children, it is not. No, but I don't know. We've already discussed that. So don't show up in the family meeting, butting around and no trying to work it out. Like, no.
Be consistent. Don't change it halfway because the children have come with a good response.
Yeah.
So you're like, oh, okay, now I was expecting that response, so let me change mine.
Right.
Stick.
No.
Yeah, because the children are smart these days.
Very
They can
smart.
come with
Very smart.
lots of justifications and reasonings, and so you have to maintain and be firm.
Yeah.
Even if you change it later, but you change it again, you have another conference, then you go back and say, well, we've considered this, and so this is now, the new rule or what have you.
Yeah, but when you're conflicting your partner in front of the children, right away you're saying you're not respecting him.
Yeah.
You're not respecting what he said or her.
Yes.
And that could be disastrous.
For sure. It could be, it will be.
It doesn't matter. I'm just thinking. But you understand, because at the same time, you want to know, even if you're not home, the environment, you've created an environment where everybody can function.
Right.
But if you break that bridge and that connection and that respect, all kind of things could happen.
Yep.
Then who, and that's the thing, who it is we tend to blame? The other partner. Oh, you weren't doing this, or you're not as open, or you're not helping me on X, Y, and Z, but you didn't create a bridge.
Yep.
You didn't establish the foundation. So it's children, as you said, let me tell you, even in the classroom, you say it. I don't know why human nature is like this. We always look for loopholes. I don't know. Survival. But sometimes there's no need for it, but somehow they do it,
We say that we don't need for it, but the person may feel that they need to get out of something, whatever that might be.
Right.
So they've got to find a loophole.
Yeah.
And sometimes, finding a loophole make things easier as well. So
I find sometimes they say, okay, go do page 25 and so on and so on. And if you don't, 25 might have some questions of 25 might be on page 26, and because you don't mention, but mom, you didn't say page 26, but everything is connected.
Right.
So they find a way. That's why we didn't do this one. So that's just that is exactly what I'm
that I would have been
No,
because I'm more like the obedient. So you said 25. You didn't say go on to 26. So I would not that I'm looking for a loophole.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking she didn't say 26. No, don't touch 26. Jenny said 25. not that.
Right.
Yeah.
Look, I don't want to do
Yeah.
26.
I got
So
you.
that, you know, so the intention. So you
Mm.
just got to be clear
Yeah.
and be specific.
But children are smart.
Yeah,
They
they
are
are very.
smart, and if they know that by whining or by repeating or by certain action that will cause the mom or dad, which is the step, cause them to change their minds, they will pull it in.
Yeah.
Because you also have we're going to wrap it shortly, ladies and gentlemen,
Mhm.
because we've gone over our time. But that is why, you know,
Mm.
I was thinking about you as you ladies were speaking,
Mhm.
that you have the dynamic where you have this tug of war with the parents, you know, the exes, and everybody's involved. The adults are picking at each other, and we want to raise healthy children, good, healthy children, and not only healthy in terms of physical, but also mental,
Yeah.
because we don't want broken children in society. When the family is dysfunctional or non-functional, then it affects society because we have broken people growing up, and as they grow up and they go out in the world, we have broken people in the world,
Yeah.
and they make decisions from their brokenness.
Yeah.
And you know, I think that it's important to love wisely, select wisely,
Mm.
you know, be honest about how you feel. And this is my closing thought, and then the ladies will share with us. Be open with how you feel. Speak the truth always in love. You are in a blended family, as we are addressing this today. Have conversations with each other. Take time to spend time with each other. It's important because you are now getting to know someone. So I think for me, those are the important thing. And I would have mentioned earlier in terms of having asking the person that you're going to be with, are you open to counseling?
Counseling.
So that at any given time, and I actually believe that maybe once or twice a year, you should have your spiritual leader or your advisor or whoever you call the person to sit with the family and have a discussion, so that the children know, okay, so is going to come with us every quarter, and then have a discussion, because like I said, family is a lot of work. And then when we blend together, it can either, you know, you can blend, and once you blend fruits together, you can get a nice smoothie.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know? But if you put the wrong fruit in there, it will
Mm.
mess up the whole smoothie. So I think that's important to understand when to blend or what you're blending
How much?
and how much you're blending, and be well aware of what you're getting yourself into. Now, Sheridan?
Well, a statement that I saw where it talks about marriage. They say marriage can be tough. Marriage alone can be tough, but remarriage can be even tougher. I'm not
Remarriage.
remarriage can be even tougher. So, in other words, what I'm saying, we have to be really realistic about what it is we're doing. We have to be really communicative and embrace the strength of both parties. And again, I'll say, and providing that safe zone for the new marriage to flourish. Do what it takes to provide for that new marriage to flourish. Here ends my saying.
All right.
Then he was in church. Here he said.
This is, I think marriage is supposed to be something beautiful, and especially if you've gone through divorce and so on, you don't want to happen again.
Yep.
So you want to pay extra, whatever it takes to make sure it is comfortable for both. Everybody eat a big piece of humble pie and keep God's ways in the forefront and do what you need to do. Create that safe zone.
Yes. Yes.
I
No.
think for me, one of my sayings this year has been choose your hard.
What?
Everything, choose your hard. Everything in life is hard.
Oh.
There's always something. It's like, oh, that's
Okay,
too hard. That's too hard. That's
Okay.
too hard. And I think you have to choose your hard.
Yeah.
Right? There's a meme that went around, you know, you wanna go on a diet, that's hard, but then you want to be unhealthy, that's also hard. So choose your hard, you know, the diet or the bad health.
Bad health. Okay.
So my thing is choose your hard. You want to do the hard work now at the beginning stages
Right.
when you're blending and you want to put the hard work in then, or do you want to put the hard work in later on when children are wayward or your marriage is breaking down and stuff like that,
Wow.
right? So
That's
choose
hard.
your hard, right? So they're both hard.
Yeah.
I know for me, one is definitely harder than the other, but some people tend to choose, maybe subconsciously, but they end
Yeah.
up choosing the other hard, not doing anything and just letting
Hoping
it
things
just
fall in place.
exactly putting their head in the sand. So my
Wow.
thing would be choose your hard, and my suggestion would be choose the first hard,
You're right.
putting in the time, blending that family, taking your time, and hopefully you have a smoother transition and life
Yeah.
happy ever after. Amen.
Amen.
Preacher sister.
Amen.
All right. We want to thank you for joining us this evening on Living Like God's Way. We've had a good discussion, as we always do. It's always fun. And if you find that we're laughing a lot, it is because we are happy people.
Amen.
We're grateful
Praise
people.
the Lord.
So even as when we have these discussions, some of them are experiences that we have had, situations and scenarios that we have gone through. So we are not oblivious to these things and just speaking superficially. We have experienced a lot of the things that we share on. So we are well equipped and well positioned to be sharing about them. So we hope that you've enjoyed this evening's discussion. If you are in a blended family, if you are a single woman with children or a man with children and you're looking to be married someday, to bring them all together, please take the time to get counseling. Please take everybody to counseling, or let the counselor come to you, the children and everybody. Let them be involved. Let them be part of the process. We sometimes hide our blended children from the process and then we throw them into it. Please do not throw them in. Let them be part of the process so that it will blend well for everybody. On behalf of all of us here at Living Life God's Way, we love you. Have a great Thursday. For those in Barbados with all that rain and all the water on the road, please be careful, drive safely. And we're looking forward again to seeing you next week on Living Life God's Way as we come up with another interesting and exciting discussion. So bye for now and have a great evening. Bye.
Welcome to Living Life God's Way. Real life, real talk, real hope. Every show. Join us every Thursday at 6:30 p.m. as we discuss topics relating to life, church, family, education, and so much more. Invite a friend, tag them even, but don't you dare miss the show. Living Life God's Way every Thursday at 6:30 p.m.
Impact